All right, Steve, the Commander-in-Chief trophy could be settled by this weekend before we even get to Army-Navy game at the end of the year. I hope that doesn't happen just for the sake is because I want that on the line during Army-Navy, but I think the chances are extremely high that Air Force can beat Army this week. Your thoughts?
I'm actually of the opposite thinking. I think that
Okay.
Army is going to find a way to beat Air Force.
Optimistic. I like it. All right. Tell me your reasons why.
I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Andre Carter is back. He's been out, and the Army's defense has really struggled. So, as awesome as Air Force is on the ground, they have not been a consistent football team throughout the year. I mean, I would label this as a disappointing year. They have no hope at a conference title. Everything for them now is the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
And a bowl. I mean, they get this win. They hit 6 wins for Air Force. They
Yeah.
could get a bowl win. For Army, though, I mean, they have a lot of work to do if they want to make a bowl game.
Well, yeah, but again, I think Army is going to look at this, and Monken's going to look at this like we want the Commander-in-Chief trophy. Over the last 5 years, Air Force, who on paper most times have had a better football team, have had all kind of problems putting Army away or even beating Army. So I just think that all the little cosmic tumblers are falling into place here. You know how I think Army is going to win? They're going to win on a 3rd and short pass to the flat because they've probably thrown more this year than they have over the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, that's how Army is just going to, they're going to see something. They're going to catch Air Force flat-footed, and they're going to throw, it won't be a long down the field pass, just a little short pass in the flats, either for a big gain or for a touchdown. And that's going to be the difference. I mean, I really think Army now, this is their championship series before you get to their Commander-in-Chief Super Bowl against Navy.
Yeah.
They have to win. Navy can't win the Commander-in-Chief trophy because they lost to Air Force. So they're in essence eliminated. It's just Army and Air Force that have a technical mathematical chance at it. So if Army beats Air Force and then Army beats Navy, I think it's
They have a chance.
Commander-in-Chief trophy. Yep.
They have a chance. This is what I see in this football game, and I think there is a possibility. Obviously, Air Force can win this game, and Army can win this game. It can go either way. Air Force is currently a 7-point favorite. Over/under is 40.5. I think that under is completely safe. If you look at the football game between Air Force and Navy, it was a 13-10 final, and that's probably the closest correlation you can make to the other team is with the other game against the Service Academy. They play the same style offense. They usually have around the same style of defense. And if you look at that game between Air Force and Navy, Hazik Daniels, the quarterback for Air Force, threw for his most yards against Navy. So you have to assume that that's probably going to happen against Army, and then you have to assume that it's probably going to happen the same way. Both these teams know how to play against the option because they run the option, right? So Air Force probably will pass the ball a little more. You'll probably see the pass happen with Army. Army has allowed 100 yards more per game than Air Force, though. I think that's where that spread gives the favor to Air Force because their defense has statistically looked better than Army's. We shouldn't be batting an eye about the return of Andre Carter.
Right.
That is a huge one. I mean, he's going to be arguably a first-round pick in the NFL draft. The first time we see that for a service academy in a very long time. And that's something to be really excited about if you are a service academy fan like Steve and I are. Each of these teams average under 100 yards passing. I would not be surprised to see if it's a little more balanced. We saw that with the Air Force Navy game where they were balanced each about 180, 200 yards apiece between running and passing per game. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen where they don't get to the 300, 330 yards rushing for each team. It's more about a 200 side. I'm still going to stick with Air Force as much as I'd hate to see the Commander-in-Chief trophy be crowned so early in the season. I know that that's not Air Force's fault. They obviously have to, play when their schedule's out, and they don't get the Army-Navy game like we have seen for, a very, very long time. Air Force this is their job to do. I think they get it done. I think that they take care of it. I don't know if I would touch that spread, though. I think I'd give Army with the points, just like we saw with that with the Air Force Navy game. 3-point lead, 7 points is a lot of points when you're talking about a very close game like this. So I would either stray away from it, or if I had to take a pick, I'd take Army with the points +7, but I would definitely play the under on this football game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of it goes into the fact that two of Army's 3 wins have been against FCS opponents. So I think that, I'm sure that plays into that. I wonder how much of a factor on this line that the fact that the game is at a neutral site at Arlington, Texas.
That's true.
Which is a shame. I'm sorry. It's a shame. Okay, Army Navy's always been in Philadelphia, I think virtually almost every year. Okay, it's tradition. It's halfway between, both academy campus, but I don't understand the thinking behind having this game played at Arlington. Again, Texas, a lot of Air Force bases, a lot of military bases. So yes, I mean, it gives those servicemen a chance to come out and root for for their academy, for their branch of the service. So I understand it from that level, but that's the only thing I can think of why the line is so high at 7. I mean, Monken is really adept at making adjustments at halftime. So that's another reason why I'm leaning toward Army on this one with an outright win. And this is going to probably sound silly but I think if Monken beats Air Force and has a good showing against Navy, I think he's going to be enticed away to another program. As much as he is so connected at West Point, I think the coaching jobs he has done in previous years and his ability to adapt on the fly certainly get the most out of players. If he goes to a school that needs to retool, needs to quote unquote rebuild, he could be an ideal guy in that situation. So I think not that he's coaching so he can get a better coaching job, but I think you're going to start hearing his name rather than it being whispered. I think you're going to start hearing his name more prominently for some of the coaching openings that are either already we know about or are going to come into play very, very soon.
I wouldn't be surprised if we heard his name. I wouldn't be surprised, whatever. I'm sure that we'll hear other names that are probably a little more upper on the scale, if you will, but I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if we hear his name during the offseason as a potential candidate or even a finalist in some of these jobs that are already open or, as you said, soon be open.